answers. I forgot to fill out number 1. An algorithm is a what? Strategy. Very good. Okay. Here's the answers to number 2. And those were of the harder types. One was a Plan B type and one was a greatest common factor type. Definitely a more challenging question. Are we analyzing our papers or holding conversations? Now let's get into number 3. Don't look down to number 4 yet. Just take a look at number 3. I tend to think number 3 is a question you did well on. All right? I tend to think that is a routine batting practice fastball, so to speak. Not super easy, but definitely not challenging either. Okay? And now up to number 4. Oh, by the way, let's go back to the first ones. If you got it right, put a little check mark. If you got it wrong, put an X. But please put check marks if you got them right. Don't leave nothing there. Put a check mark. Okay. Now this is just a little bit different because we don't have our daily quizzes. You know how normally we have the quizzes and then I get you back the quiz and you're able to tell right away what you got right or you got wrong? Today we don't have that luxury because we're not having a quiz. So instead you're just checking your own work. And then I'm going to collect this from you, but this is not going in the book. It's not going to be a grade for you. It's so that I can see how you're doing. Remember how often I say on the quizzes, boy, I was surprised you couldn't do such and such. And this way, if there's any surprises to me, I'll know what to adjust over the next few days. Okay, and number 4. The first time, actually the first 2 times I did this, I made a calculation error. So I had to go do it on a Post-it and put it up on the board with a Post-it so that I would get it right. So everybody makes mistakes. You know, it's one of the things I preach. I'm not perfect. But this time I was able to get it correct on the Post-it. So,
yeah, we never subtracted to 72.
Okay. All right, so we're looking it through. Now, to me, on a scale of 1 to 10, this question is a 9 or a 9.5 in terms of difficulty. Very difficult.
Cursive family photo.
What I would like everybody to be able to do on this, I think everybody should be able to write the very first step on purple, which is 2x plus 6 times 2x plus 7 is 72. I think everybody should be able to do that. And then I think you should be able to double distribute. If you were able to do those 2 steps and the rest of it kind of fell apart, give yourself like half credit, so write 1/2 on there. Okay? And then if you got it all the way through and you came up with x equals 1, put a check mark. And if you were absolutely clueless, like if you did almost everything right, and maybe you messed up the factoring, or maybe you did one little detail wrong and everything else was right, write almost a check mark on your paper, meaning you would have gotten almost full credit.
Like a V.
You can make it a V, but a noticeable V. Okay? So this would have been like a 6-point question had it been on the Regents. And if you get like a V or most of a check, you're going to get 4 or 5 out of 6, which to me is good. A question like this is very challenging, extremely difficult to get full credit on. I want to get full credit. I hope we get full credit. I want everybody to at least get that first line written and then the double distribute. And so that's 3 out of 6. And then from there, if we could go clean all the way to the end, it's very possible, but it's not easy. So if you could go clean to the end, that's great. If you could not go clean to the end, but you got most of it, you should be rewarded for that. Okay, now just as a quick awareness for me, did anybody get all the questions right?
Almost.
Almost?
I got like half up because we used Plan B when we shouldn't have.
Okay. The last class had 5 or 6 kids get them all right. Okay. Did anybody get almost everything right? Either one wrong or a piece of one wrong. All right, so we've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hands. Good. And everybody else is there. This should reveal to you what you need to be better on for Friday's test. So if there's something on this that you got right, you should be saying to yourself, look, I'm looking good in this area. I'm doing well here. But if there's something that you didn't get right, you should be saying to yourself, okay, I really need to put a lot of effort in on this before we hit the weekend. Now, today is a day where we're going to introduce a brand new skill, okay? And then tomorrow we will finish that skill all the way through and give you a pretest. Because we lost Monday, we lost a day of review this week. So, yeah, this is just life. But I would strongly suggest, listen, the test you're taking this Friday, listen very carefully to me. The test you are taking this Friday is the same exact test, with the numbers changed, as the test you took last Friday, with one question changed on the whole thing.
What question?
You'll see it tomorrow. It's going to be about what we're going to start today and continue tomorrow. And it's just one traded in for it, that's all. You remember that one with the big ugly formula on the end of the test that I told you to skip?
Yeah.
I'm not giving you the big ugly formula, but I'm substituting a question for that one. That's the only one that's going to change. So my point to you is, if you are concerned about your last grade and you want to straighten it out, what I would suggest that you do is that you practice over your previous test and the pretest. And remember, I already put a video up on the website as to how to do every single question on the test from Friday. So you can go over that work and you can start cleaning that up tonight. And then tomorrow you'll have the pretest, and then you'll have your test Friday. And I would truly expect you to improve significantly over last Friday's performance. What did I say would happen if you got an 80 or higher?
You'd match it.
I think you're phrasing it there. I would change the first grade into the second grade. So if that's not motivation for you to get it done, Jacob, between that and a cookie, what more can I do? There's nothing else I can do. So
I don't know why you did the first two.
find a way to get it done. You know, focus, work hard, make things happen. Okay. All right, let's see here. Open recent. Completing the square. Oh, wait, before I do completing the square, let's talk about last night's homework. Why is this not opening?
It seems to not like you.
Oh, that's why. No, that's not the one I want. Scan 4. That's that one. I don't want that one. Scan 1. I don't think so. Oh, I think this is it. There we go. Why is this not going up here? It has nothing to do with recording. Well, I know how I can do this. I can quit Adobe Reader.
Oh no, picking beach ball. Beach ball of death. Beach ball of death. That happened to me one time. And I lost all my beach ball. Yeah. Essay. And that happened, and I couldn't say it. I do like the things that review over.
Okay. You are way too distracted. Now, granted, we weren't exactly getting much cooperation from my laptop here, but here's some answers to last night's homework. So why don't you get your homework out and take a look? Tomorrow we will check both homeworks, the one due today and the one due tomorrow. So don't lose it. There are some review questions here, and I think they're pretty much review. Remember, undefined means 0 in the denominator. That's why that worked in red there. All right, here is your inequality graph. I've had a couple of people at Extra Help over the last, between last night and today, that had a little bit of struggles on graphing inequality. So I wanted to make sure I showed you that one. Make sure you're doing it right. You know, there are a number of those in the relearn packet, which I've had a few people doing, but not too many. So. Okay? And then here's the question, like the one that was done on today's single sheet that you got when you came in, and also on yesterday's work. And here it is from homework last night. Okay? And there's all the work shown for it. Okay? Are there any questions on homework? Okay. You know, it is so incredibly important that you understand that you are going to make mistakes, and to not beat yourself up when you make mistakes. But that once you make a mistake, how do you respond to it? Do you sit there and in your deepest heart say, I can't do this? Or do you say to yourself, I am going to get this done. I am going to find a way. When I was in college, I do believe there was a time when I was clinically depressed. I believe that with all of my heart. I never went to a psychiatrist or anything, but I was sleeping way too much. I just wanted, kept the room dark. I was just in a bad place. And my sophomore year, I moved off campus to live with a bunch of seniors, which was a mistake. And my friends call it my professional hockey semester when I played hockey up at school, and I cared a lot more about hockey than I did my grades. And I had this one class that I hated the professor. He was the worst professor I'd ever seen in my life. And I had left to go up to college in the middle of August. And when I got there, I lived off campus, and I never ever would have thought that I would miss my family and that I would miss my friends and that I would be homesick and lonely, but I really was. And I was having a really hard time with classes. I didn't want to do my work, and all I wanted to do was play hockey. And I remember taking a test on the day before Thanksgiving. I hadn't been home since the middle of August. I hadn't seen my friends since the middle of August. And the day before Thanksgiving, I took this test for this class called linear algebra. And I bombed it. I got a 7 out of 100. A 7. Nobody did that bad in this class. No, you beat me, Kelly. Now, granted, not by a lot, but you did beat me. So I go in there, and I remember getting very angry, and I remember thinking that I couldn't do this. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm a failure, I'm a loser, and I can't do this. So I lived off campus, but I used to go to my friend Max. His real name was Maximilian Stangaroni. That's his real name. I can't make that up. Maximilian was his first name, Stangaroni was his last name. And I was sitting on his bed, just staring at the wall, feeling sorry for myself, thinking about how bad I had it, and how I was such a screw up, and how I wasn't going to be able to succeed. And I was just staring at the wall. And this guy I lived with by the name of Raj Stanislaus. Raj walks in, and he looks at me and he goes, "What's wrong with you?" And he was a senior. And I go, "I failed." He goes, "And?" I go, "I never fail. I always do well. I get hundreds, I get A's. I don't fail. I got a 7. He goes, "And?" And I go, "I could fail." And he looks at me and he says, "You got 2 choices. You can whine in your own self-pity and drown in your own self-pity, or you can get your butt in gear and do something about it. Now, which is it going to be?" And I just thought about it, and I sucked it up, and I said, "I'm going to do it." So then I went in and had a really big fight with the professor the next day. And I called him the worst teacher I'd ever seen in my entire life. He really was. He was the worst teacher I'd ever seen. I've seen one as bad, but he was pathetic. And his name was Professor Wilkin. He was horrible. He was about this tall. And he talked, not that that makes you a bad teacher, but he talked with this squeaky little voice. And this is how he taught. We don't use a textbook, but he would get the textbook out, and he would open it, and he'd read.
Oh my God.
And that was his lesson.
He read.
And I said to him, I said, you're the worst professor I've ever seen in my life because all you do is read the textbook to the class. I said, I can do that. And he said, apparently not, because you only got a 7. And I said, you know, I'll make you a deal. I said, you're the worst teacher I've ever seen, but I'll make you a deal. I'll get the highest grade on the class if I can get the highest grade on the class on the final. You give me an A for the course. And if I don't get the highest grade on the class, you can fail me. And he said, I'll take that bet. Because, you know, realistically, in his shoes, is a kid going to go from a 7 to the highest grade in the class? No, not a chance. And the test was in the middle of December sometime. So I had basically from the Monday after Thanksgiving until the middle of December, 3 weeks or so. Yeah.
Why is it that professors always like try to fail you?
Yeah. Not true.
I don't think they always try to fail you. I think they think they're some morally superior motivators. And with them, it's a win-win, because if you fail, they're like, ha, I was right all along. And if you succeed, they're like, he succeeded because I motivated him, which is a load of garbage. So anyway, I get in this big argument with him, and he took my bet. And I did the bet because Raj had said to me, all you got to do is work hard, you'll learn this stuff. So I went home and I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked and I worked, and I did all of this stuff over and over again. I mean, I did 3 hours a night of linear algebra. I could have told you what the 4th word on the 5th paragraph on page 283 was of the book. I knew everything in that book. But you know how I always make stupid mistakes? Okay, so I walk in to take the final exam. And Professor Wilkie, little tiny guy that he was, walks in the room, squeaky voice, mustache, dirty blonde hair. And he says, okay, class, we have an honor system here at Albany State University. And our honor system is that if anybody cheats on the final, you're supposed to turn them in. So he says, here's your final, which was handwritten. He didn't even type the thing. And then he goes, I'm going to go jogging. When you're done with your test, walk across the hall and slide it under my door. There was no proctor in the room.
That's like guaranteed cheating.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of
So he left the room. Now, college kids are experts at cheating.
Oh yeah.
And,
So we're elementary kids.
oh, no. College kids blow at elementary schools. If you're an elementary school kid and you get the chance to cheat, you're going to get 100. But if you've been getting 50s the whole year and you suddenly get 100, the teacher's not stupid. Something went on. College kids would go from 50 to 80.
Exactly. We do. I would if
You
I
have
were
to
cheat.
Right, you cheat within reasonable limits of cheating.
You don't
And-
go from a 2 to 8.
I don't cheat.
That's
I'm
right,
just saying
that's
that's
right.
the logical
So
thing
the
to do.
college kid is an expert cheater. So he leaves the room, and after about 20 minutes, they start looking out the window, because you could see where he would go jogging, and they're like, no, he's all the way over there. So they take out their books. And the test was 10 questions long. Each question was a very long, it's like a full page for each question. And they just start copying it out of the books, but they would intentionally make a little mistake here, or a little mistake there, because they didn't want to look like the whole class got 100, because that would be suspicious.
Oh yeah.
So the test gets done, I go across the hall, I hand it in, and I'm fuming. I am furious beyond furious, because I made the bet. I had to get the highest grade in order to get the A, otherwise I fail. And the whole class just cheated.
Oh, you
So-
can turn them all in.
So, well, that's the option. But honestly, who's gonna do that?
Me.
Me.
Alright, well, I wasn't gonna do that. So I walk in the next day and I see the professor, and or like a couple of days later, I gave him time to get the test grade, and I said, you know what, you really are beyond as bad as I thought you were. I said, why? He goes, why? And he failed me because I had the second highest grade in the class on the final. I had a 98 because
Did you
I
cheat?
always make a stupid mistake, and I did not cheat.
Sounds like a D-bag.
So, watch the language. So, at that point, he says, oh, what, did they cheat? And I said, I'm not gonna answer that question. And he says, we have an honor system. Turn them in and you'll get the highest grade. So I had the choice between getting the highest grade and turning somebody in, or taking the F. I chose the F.
What?
But I did say to him, you better give me the grade I deserve. Because if you don't give me the grade I deserve, I will take this over your head, and I will go to your boss about you not being in the room as a proctor, and the fact that you didn't do all these other things.
You blackmailed him.
Well, he wound up giving me a B.
Uh,
So it worked itself out in the long run. But the moral to the story isn't just the fact that I overcame a very corrupt system. The moral to the story is this. I got a 7. You understand that? A what? A 7 to a 98. So please, don't sit there and go, I'm stupid, I can't do this stuff. No! Get your butt in gear.
It's kind of hard.
Yes, I agree. It is. It's, you know, it's more than kind of hard. It is hard. But that doesn't mean you are incapable. Now, okay,
Just do it.
Okay. All right, very quickly, I want to go over one thing on today's Do It. Why are we doing it? Okay. Now, on today's Do It. Today's Do It, let's just take it at the very beginning because today is actually part of a two-part lesson, so I wouldn't worry about anything as far as today's work goes. Let's see here. Here we go, completing the square. I just want to take a look at this first part. Today we're really not doing anything new. I just want to look for patterns here, okay? Now, x plus 1 squared means x plus 1 times x plus 1. And when I double distribute and work it all out, you don't have to do that. I will do it for you. It's x squared plus 2x plus 1. The next one is x plus 2 times x plus 2. And that works out to x squared plus 4x plus 4. The next one is x plus 3 times x plus 3, which is x squared plus 6x plus 9. The next one, x plus 4 times x plus 4. All right, tomorrow we will build on that and show you how it turns into the last thing we need to know. It is not difficult, okay? Hasta la vista, vaya con Dios, toodaloo, tata, arrivederci. Smile a lot. Ciao, arrivederci. Adios, amigos y amigas. Cheerio. Oh, hang on a second. I just gotta kill this here. You can't.